This is Teddy, also known as Theodore, Tedward, and Ted Meisterberger. He's a 4-year-old British shorthair that found his way onto the streets of New York, and I like talking to him like he's a true London geezer, fitted with veneers, planning his next trip to Ibiza, because that feels like the personality fitted for a tiny man of his history. I've been fostering for almost 3 years now, and obviously cats that look like Teddy aren't usually found on the street. We don't really know his whole backstory, but I think it's likely that he was someone's cat at some point, probably bought from a breeder and then abandoned when he became too difficult, perhaps too clingy, and left outside to fend for himself. But this sweet guy, he is a lover, not a fighter. He is not made for these streets. He's a glutton for churros and affection, too much of a sweetheart to spend his life without a companion. He was rescued as part of a trap-neuter release effort, something very common in New York as a way to combat the overpopulation of street cats, hence the tipping of his ear. But when he was scooped up and brought to be neutered, they realized there was no way this darling boy could ever be released back onto the streets. He got put into foster care in May, and he eventually ended up scheduled for a brief stay at Lovergirls HQ. I immediately felt connected to him, like he was just meant to be in my life, but oh my god, I couldn't have been taken more off guard. I didn't feel ready to love again, but here he was. So, needless to say, I had a lot to think about.
I got it for you, baby. Okay, whoa! How could you not foster fail this guy? He's ridiculous. Okay, relax. You're gonna get all of it. You're not competing with anyone. Sorry to keep a secret from you guys for so long. I started fostering him in early July, and then by mid-July, I had already signed those adoption papers. So throughout all the time you guys have been watching my Instagram stories of him and DMing me like, I think you should adopt him, I already had. Dude, there's none left. It's empty. It's empty. I was really overwhelmed with how much I felt after meeting Teddy. Hello. There's nothing in here, Ted. It's gone. There's nothing. Now he wants to lick my hands. You're so cute. I've been fostering for 3 years, and I have never had a foster cat that I felt this strongly about. You were just so unexpected, Ted. And naturally, this brought up a lot of grief for me. Actually, the day I was grappling with it the most, I was on my way to Connecticut for my friend Kayla's bridal shower. And I had texted Heidi, who I foster for. You might know her on social media as Heidi Wrangles Cats. I texted Heidi just to see how far along she was in looking at applications for him, because I was only supposed to foster him for a short period of time because there had already been a significant amount of interest in him from adopters. So we just thought that, you know, he'd get snatched up pretty quickly. So when I was on the train, I texted Heidi to see how far along she was with the adoptions and if she hadn't moved forward with any of them, if I could throw my hat in the ring. And that was when I learned that the option was absolutely on the table for me to adopt Teddy if I wanted to. So then I had a lot to think about. I'm in Connecticut right now for one of my best friend's bridal showers. I got here a little early. I'm sitting by the water, and the entire train ride up here, I was just sitting, realizing that I really, really love my foster cat, Teddy, in a way that's really catching me off guard. Literally had him for 3 days. He got dropped off on Thursday night. It's now Sunday. And I've just been so charmed by him instantly. He is so sweet. I literally opened up the carrier and he walked right into my arms. He's such a special cat, and it's so easy to see that instantly. Literally, I've had him for 3 days, and I already know that. And it's making me feel so weird. I feel like a combination of so many feelings because I don't feel ready to adopt again. I feel really scared. I feel terrified of losing again. To like have the courage to love again and opt in to knowing another heartbreak someday is like really, really intimidating. And I also find myself just getting sad because when I had Mango and I would foster, I would always, you know, assess the fosters to see if they would be a good bestie for her. I always wanted to adopt her a friend eventually. And Teddy is perfect for her. She would have loved Teddy. I think they would have got along so well, and it is breaking my heart that I feel like I found her best friend, but it's like too late. Thing is, like, all the things I thought I would feel, I do feel. I said that I wouldn't feel ready to adopt for years. That is still true. I don't feel ready to adopt. I feel terrified. I do. And in my head, I was like, I'm not going to adopt until I don't feel terrified. And I think now I'm realizing that I might just always be terrified. I think that losing Mango and knowing how deeply that hurt me has like changed me to my core as a person. I don't know, I'm really struggling with this. It's weird to not feel ready, but simultaneously have this gut feeling that I shouldn't let this cat go. Feels like bittersweet in some ways. I feel really excited about Teddy. I really, really love him. I think he's so sweet. And just like a really special cat. Part of me feels like Mango sent him to me. I keep asking Mango for signs. Like, what should I do? What am I supposed to do? Will I ever feel complete clarity, or is it just like I'm gonna have to do it scared, to just trust my gut and do it crying, do it scared, be courageous, be brave, and like follow my heart. I don't know. But I know I left the house at 8 a.m. this morning, and I already miss him and can't wait to go home later tonight. So I don't know what any of that means. But that's what I'm sitting with right now. You've really shook things up in the 3 days that you've been with me, Teddy. How long do you think it is before he notices that I'm using a True as a microphone? Everyone place your bets now. So needless to say, that train ride home was a deeply introspective one, and I feel like by the time I got back to my apartment, I pretty much already knew what I wanted to do, but I was gonna let myself sleep on it. But I just was so moved by the amount of signs I felt that were pushing me in the direction of like, no, this isn't meant to be a foster. This is actually your cat, which was terrifying to me, as mentioned. But I couldn't shake the feeling that he was different. Not only does he share so many of the mannerisms that I loved about Mango, he's clingy and affectionate and follows me around the apartment like he's my shadow. He loves all of the same spots in the apartment that Mango did. But I think the thing that I kept coming back to was that when I speak to the universe and ask for guidance and clarity, and I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual. But when I speak to the universe asking my guardian angels for clarity, I'm usually talking to two individuals, Mango and my late grandfather, who passed in 2019, whose name, if you would believe it, was Ted. So there was a huge part of me that felt like this was my grandpa and Mango conspiring together to send me a little piece of them both. A cat that reminds me of Mango with the name of my grandfather. It felt like the two of them reaching down to me from wherever they are and saying, we miss you, we love you, and we want you to feel the way that this little guy makes you feel. So by the next morning, I woke up and I felt pretty clear on how I felt and what I wanted to do. The only thing there was left to do was to ask Teddy how he felt. And this was even crazier, but if you'd believe it, he looked straight at me and said, "Please keep me, Mumsy." You know I love the Brits, so who was I to say no? We officially signed those adoption papers on July 15th. And he's been with me ever since. My little Ted. Ted Meisterburger. Come on now. He wants to go to Ibiza. So obviously in the time leading up to when I formally adopted him, I was sorting through a lot of really heavy feelings. And I was leaning on my friends a lot, and a lot of them asked me the same question. As I'm weighing if I should adopt Teddy, a lot of them were like, well, do you feel ready for it? Like, how do you feel about it when you think about the prospect of keeping him versus letting him go? Like, where do you fall on that emotional spectrum? And again, every time I was asked, I was like, I don't feel ready. This last year has been so incredibly painful for me. I have nothing but Lexapro and Wellbutrin to thank for the stability I've been able to find. I think it's hard for me to articulate, and some of you are going to think that's funny because I've done nothing but articulate myself about this, but I sometimes feel that it's hard for me to articulate just how devastated I was by Mango's passing. I know that if you don't have that kind of relationship with an animal, you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about and maybe even think I'm crazy, but she was my best friend. And the relationship I have with her, I will never be able to replicate. She was my soul cat, and I will miss her literally every day for the rest of my life. There is no remedy for the pain I feel not having her here. That cat carried me through everything, through some of the most challenging, hardest days of my life. I was looking back to a movie review that I wrote about Sorry Baby. I even think I talked about this in a video last summer. But in the review for this movie, which if you don't know, Sorry Baby is a movie that centers on a woman's experience with sexual violence, and she also has a cat that finds their way into her life at like the perfect moment. And in my review for that movie, I talked a little bit about my own experience with sexual violence and how for so long it was something I didn't talk about with anybody. For a while, it was something that only Mango and I knew. And I remember coming back here the night that it happened and sitting on the couch and just sobbing. And there she was, crawling up on my lap, always trying to paw her way into my chest. She slept on the right side pillow every single night. That cat loved me so much. And I loved her so much. And even like thinking about what it was like the first 2 months that she wasn't here, like it is painful for me to think about and remember. I really feel like I lost a part of myself when I lost her. And yeah, that'll never change and it'll never get better. And maybe that's depressing for some people here, but I don't feel that my experience with grief has changed at all in the last year. I just feel like my life has grown around it, which I heard from people that is also how I might feel, and that's how I do feel. So no, I didn't feel ready to open myself up to the possibility of another heartbreak like that. A heartbreak that I'm literally opting into by adopting another cat. Like, there is no avoiding death. And by adopting another cat, I am knowingly signing up to feel the way I felt all over again. And that's scary. And I think the more I sat with that fear and this question of like being ready and the understanding I have with my grief, I kind of reached a place where I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna feel ready. I'm never gonna be not scared to do this again. I'm always gonna be, rocked by the way losing Mango changed me. How much I miss her, how painful that feels, and to open myself up to loving again is really scary. And honestly, if Teddy hadn't walked into my life, I probably would have spent years without adopting. But here he was. The universe was telling me the time was now. The opportunity was right in front of me, and whether I felt ready for it or not didn't matter, because I knew that it was something that I was just going to have to do scared. And in fact, the choice to continue loving and to love again was obviously like a center point of what Mango taught me and the version of myself that I became through being her mom. I will be courageous enough to love again because I have known a love as soft and sweet, loyal and consistent as Mango's. And in choosing to love again, my grief doesn't shrink or even change shapes, but it does allow me to connect with the version of myself I was when I knew her. But in getting to spoil Ted and re-catify this apartment, it's been such a joy, because I'll have these moments of deja vu, remembering what it was like when I first adopted Mango and was catifying my other apartment and buying her all the toys in the goddamn world to see which ones she liked best. Like, I'm going through the same process now with Ted and just learning what he likes and what he doesn't like, and it feels really special to get to reconnect with that part of myself. In so much joy and newness, there is also grief. And I can make room for that in the missing her, wishing that she was here to experience this also. In just wanting her to know, wherever she is, that she has an irreplaceable spot in my heart, that the way I love her and the way I will love Teddy aren't in competition with each other, that actually I'm excited to get to love Teddy in all the same ways that Mango loved me. It feels very much inspired by her. She's so weaved into my life and how I will care for literally every cat in the future. I'll be Mango's mom till the day I die. And every cat that knows me from here on out will also know me as Mango's mom. Teddy knows me as Mango's mom. And now I'm also Teddy's mom. And I'm excited to get to do this again. I'm excited to get to love him. And I know now that I have the courage, that I am ready for it, despite being terrified of what I've opted myself into. There's room in my heart for both grief and love. I get to be the kind of person that I was to Mango. Getting to be a cat mom to a new cat honestly has just made me feel so connected to the version of myself I was with Mango. It's made me feel even more connected to her. You are such a surprise, Ted. Who would have ever thought? And if anything, I really do believe that my love for Ted is a testimonial to Mango. My two babies. Oh, you guys would have been best friends. And so though there is so much grief wrapped up in this new beginning, and just wishing that she was here to meet Ted and to be a part of this chapter together, I feel so firmly that she picked Teddy out herself and sent him straight to me, because she knew that I needed a stage 5 clinger. I do. I love a clingy cat who will not shut the fuck up. I love you so much. I love you, my Ted. So everyone, welcome Teddy to the family. Ted Meister. My son. Head of Lover Boys Worldwide. Here he is. And I'm so happy he's here.